Today's video, Marvel Studio X-Men, everything you need to know about the mutant SAGA.
On their big future plans with the
Check it
Mutant
out.
Saga Beyond Avengers Secret Wars, including confirmations of an actual X-Men movie in early development and the decision not to reboot this franchise after the multiverse saga. How is that gonna work? Well, in this video, I'm gonna break down how the new
They need to keep Magneto, bro.
are not just
We don't want a new Magneto.
Wars, but really early seeds being planted for a Marvel Studios X-Men film. And be sure to check out nerdriot.shop where we have all kinds of great nerdy shirt designs like this wingspan shirt that go directly to supporting what we do here at New Rockstars. Okay, in the past week, Marvel Studios executive Brad
Making that moolah.
actual MCU X-Men movie will be the next major Marvel team-up movie coming after Avengers Secret Wars. Talking with Screen Rant, Winterbomb was asked, there's a report that went out recently that Academy X could be something in the works. What can you say about Marvel's live-action plans for mutants on the television front? Winterbomb said, I think anybody could say anything online and it hits the rumor mill and people get excited. Right now we are still working on X-Men.
Yes, sir. X-Men 97.
That is certainly scratching the X-Men itch for me on television, and
Need that.
X-Men feature in development right now, so that is the focus of X-Men currently. An X-Men feature in development. Finally, let's go! And by the way, you did hear correctly there. We are looking at X-Men 97 Season 2 coming out in 2026, along with your friendly
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and Daredevil Born Again Season 2 coming out in 2026.
Oh, damn. I thought they were doing one season.
And a Punisher special presentation.
Yes, sir.
And Spider-Man 4. So it's gonna be a
Yes, sir.
next year. Now, Marvel
It's gonna be a crazy year if they actually release them in time.
Next title coming after Secret Wars at the Disney APAC Content Showcase back in November.
I think you will see
I would just leave it.
movies and some X-Men players that you might recognize, and then right after that, the whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into a new age of mutants and of the X-Men. And again,
That shit gonna be fun, bro.
finally have the X-Men back at Marvel Studios.
And for years, we've been assuming that on the other side of Avengers
The
Doomsday,
crossovers are gonna be crazy.
events will be so calamitous to the current infrastructure of the MCU. And
We gotta get Spider-Man with the X-Men interaction, bro.
And with this universe getting rebooted in some way to have the Fantastic Four and the mutants part of whatever the universe is going forward. But then in a different interview with the Screen Off Script podcast, Winterbomb confirmed that the studio is not really planning to reboot either.
We're about to approach Secret Wars. What are your thoughts on the idea of a full MCU reboot? Is that something that's ever been considered or even discussed in passing?
You're going to have to ask Kevin about the features. You know, I'm on the TV side, but, you know, we do navigate the same waters and live in the same universe. Look, I mean, I'm a comic fan. I've read comics, you know.
Bruh, we don't need a reboot. Just keep the same people.
At comic companies when things get full reboots. Every time there's been a full reboot in DC or, you know, DC in particular, you can't really fully reboot anything. The classics always come back around. It's a very difficult thing.
It's like Star Wars, bro.
Breathing fictional universe to just start from scratch because of all the fan investment and love for the stories that have come so far.
So the X-Men are coming, and the MCU as we know it is not rebooting, but most of this architecture in its current form will survive after the events of Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, to be clear, I think Winterbomb was really just clarifying that they don't plan to completely wipe the slate.
Hopefully not.
Cast all of their heroes with just fully reconceived.
They probably will
Really
recast some people, but
a complete reboot. Still, the Fantastic Four lineup that are being introduced in the Fantastic Four First Steps begin their journey in a separate universe, so we have to assume that Marvel Studios intends on those four occupying the MCU with the other Marvel heroes we know at some point in the future. They didn't cast just for a different Fantastic Four to get established in the 616. There's going to be some process by which known Marvel heroes from other universes kind of immigrate into the MCU and stay here after Secret Wars. And we understand the first step of that process will be incursions. Incursions, of course, being the collisions between universes, but that could lead to
they're gonna be fighting for each other's planet or universe.
Universes. Maybe the Manhattan of the MCU could be made up of the Midtown and the Hell's Kitchen of the MCU, but the East Village of Fantastic Four and the Westchester County from further upstate of a separate X-Men universe, or maybe even the Genosha or the Krakoa of an X-Men universe that we've never seen before. And then after Franklin Richards and his Future Foundation resolves the multiverse crisis at the end of Secret Wars, we would be left with an MCU in which the 616 universe looks looks mostly as it did before, but just has
Everybody's gonna be in it though.
East River and like an Xavier Mutant Academy up the Hudson in Westchester County. But this whole narrative path puts in a new context why adamantium was introduced in Captain America: Brave New World. In a recent video, I broke down everything
We still need different universes though.
from the fourth Captain America movie, including the
that way they could go do different stories.
The same 2008 Marvel reference book as the only actual printed source of the numerical designation of Marvel Earth 199999. Isn't that interesting? Now, outgoing Marvel executive Nate Moore also gave some context for why adamantium was put in this movie to Entertainment Weekly. He said, now that we can build a path towards X-Men, we want to start sprinkling in these things so that it doesn't feel like
little by little
fire hose when that movie comes, so that the MCU starts to lay the groundwork for what could come. Merging Tiamat with the idea of it being the birthplace of adamantium, we thought was really interesting because it's something that's only in the MCU. Obviously, we take our cues from publishing a lot, but we are building a massive story in the MCU, and we wanted to start to layer on what we've done in the past to make it all feel like one cohesive story. Now, from that, I derived that Marvel Studios just likes the idea that in the MCU, adamantium is a kind of gift from the gods, or a Promethean tool stolen from the gods that was just created.
I mean, it's rare, so I guess it makes sense.
By transfiguring him into marble. Nothing makes your home smell better than something tasty baking in the oven. Wild
Adamantium. Yeah.
Bread, fresh loaf or blood sugar bakes.
That's kind of a random sponsor for them, bro. What the hell?
Was their sourdough loaf and grain. Be sure to be croissants characters going onto or inside of Celestial Island. Asked, did you ever think about going onto the island itself? And Ona said, we did. We played with a few versions of that, but you never want to overwhelm the movie with too many elements that aren't necessarily moving forward the story in the way you want. So I'm guessing the scene was conceived to explain why when Cersei transfigured Tiamat, his outer shell looks like white marble, but like on the inside, certain internal organs or tissue, or maybe just his skull and bones of his skeleton were now made of adamantium. I don't know if Tiamat always had an adamantium skeleton, or if that only happened after Cersei transfigured him. I go back and forth on that. Like, if it happened after Cersei transfigured him, it would mean that the adamantium was an accidental byproduct of an Eternal defying their creator gods, and thus a Promethean tool that had been stolen from the gods.
The world may never know.
Celestials just have adamantium innards. It would mean that Cersei just really stopped Tiamat by turning most of his tissue into marble, but that she was unable to transfigure his adamantium bones, which would mean that adamantium is so divinely strong that it even resists any kind of transfiguration sorcery. And you could extrapolate that to places like Wolverine versus Scarlet Witch. She ain't gonna turn his adamantium into like Silly Putty. He would only be vulnerable to mutants who can control metal, like Magneto. But I digress. This shows that Marvel Studios wants a clearly established origin point.
Bro, that would be an interesting fight. Scarlet Witch versus Wolverine. Shit. We might get it in Secret Wars.
Medical applications and weaponry.
We don't know.
I suppose also the weapons uses in this case seem to be a nod to the Weapons Plus program that gave us Wolverine. It may also be a reference to what happened to the spine of Bullseye between Daredevil Season 3 and Daredevil Born Again. Before, that metal was called Cognium, but since the surgeon was connected to Lady Deathstrike and adamantium is now in this shared universe, this coming season could retcon that metal to be adamantium as it is in
That would be
comics.
crazy,
But
bro.
it also mean that Marvel Studios plans to introduce the mutants of
That would be
Saga
OP.
in the near future of this universe.
They're probably gonna mention it a lot in the Daredevil series, like just Easter eggs.
And if that origin point stays true for all the X-Men characters, it might also mean that Magneto would no longer be defined by his historical connections to World War II. And we will see if Marvel Studios could actually stick with that. I don't know if the studio could really get away with erasing those parts of Magneto's backstory. I brought this up in past videos, calling it the Magneto problem. Whatever Magneto that
I mean, just bring him in from another universe.
dead on arrival if his trauma is
We don't care, bro.
Holocaust into some other historical tragedy.
Make him 100 years old.
It's going to move forward.
Who
with
cares, bro?
a hybrid approach to introducing mutant characters. Some iconic.
We just want Magneto.
For a time in the mutant saga, played by the actors that they were in the past film eras, including Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. That guy's going to do it till he's 90.
We need Magneto. Yep.
Ian McKellen as Magneto.
Yes, sir.
Darius Storm, James Marsden as Cyclops. It just kind of feels like we're going to see some of them or all of them. In
The rest of them you could recast low key.
I think Secret Wars is going to establish a completely new universe of X-Men characters using a location like the mutant island colony colonies of Genosha or Krakoa, and they will have a backstory from
I think
the 20th
Krakoa,
century
bro.
that looks like a live-action X-Men 97. That indeed could be
Because we
the
never
universe
got
that
it.
we saw in the Marvel's post-credit scene, since that Beast character design, despite being voiced by Kelsey Grammer, did have a design with an underbite that looked like the Beast from the 90s X-Men animated run. I think that will be the universe that gives us at least our Magneto and maybe our Charles Xavier. We need some of these characters to come from other universes and stay in the 616. They, like the Fantastic Four from First Steps, will just be Marvel characters who are left in the MCU feeling somewhat displaced from their time and from their worlds, but just wise enough to handle it and also be in a position to.
Bro, if we see Magneto in Doomsday or Secret Wars, bro.
At the same time, I think Marvel Studios
Oh
will
my
continue
god, bro. I'ma fucking yell in them fucking movie theaters.
Their own mutant plan, including Adamantium's birthplace as Celestial Island and the existence of a mutant gene and characters like Kamala Khan and Namor. And they're gonna do this
Namor.
to introduce a new lineup of young actors in the 616 universe to play.
You need to get Rogue in that shit though.
Wolverine, Gambit, Rogue, and the rest. And since Wolverine is just regenerative and ageless since his birth in the mid-19th century, he could still have had an origin in the World War II of this universe, the one that Steve Rogers fought in Captain America the First Avenger. It could just be that this Wolverine hadn't gotten an adamantium skeleton until 2027 or later, with the adamantium taken from Celestial Island. And maybe the fact that it's a resource that's shared with Japan, the Silver Samurai could be part of the 616 Wolverine's origin. My hope is that we get some answers about this, at least one answer about it, when it comes to the MCU Weapons Plus program in the Thunderbolts movie, because Bob Reynolds Sentry seems like he could have been part of a
Surely we'll get something.
Experiment program. Comment down below with your thoughts on all this, and big thanks to Brandon Barrick for his help researching this video. Follow me at EA Voss, subscribe to all three
W.
breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for
W
watching.
video, bro. Thanks for watching. That's it for me. Please sub, comment, like it up. Bye.